All right, y'all. We're going to be talking about some things that are a bit inappropriate today. Sky Squad, we are back in the building. And despite the fact that I'm in a mouth load of pain right now from the dentist earlier, if you know, you know my ongoing struggle. Okay. Um, we got to talk about some things. All right. So, first inappropriate thing we got to talk about is this relationship between Ralph and Courtney. All right. So, in a new interview with Deasia Robinson from the Neighborhood Talk, we have Drew Sidora stepping into the neighborhood to have a little ponderoso with Miss Deasia Robinson about Ralph and all things Real Housewives of Atlanta. Now, in this interview, you know, Drew does indicate some inappropriateness, okay, some type of inappropriate relationship, I should say, but she doesn't really go into the details of what she found to be inappropriate. She did happen to tweet out about something about it made sense that Courtney, has spent some time in Tampa. I don't know if you guys recall that she had tweeted that out. All right. But when asked if she thought that they had an inappropriate relationship, she says their entire relationship was inappropriate. She says, I had a feeling I've learned not to accuse people of things, but there were things that were happening that did make her, that she did not go and make a big deal about, she says. But her main issue with Ralph is that he allowed her to disrespect her and allegedly worked with her to strategize these attacks. All right. So, as she stated during the reunion, there was some collusion betwixt Ralph and cousin Courtney. Cousin 9311. Um, yeah. Yeah. I just got a question though. I he must have been real through with that relationship. When you really think about it in retrospect, for you to give purposely and intentionally give some new woman that you have met information on your wife, especially when you know what type of show this is, like I had to really stop and think about it. That's a special kind of I don't really F with you no more in this marriage. Y'all realize that? It took me a minute to really fully grasp the nature of how heinous that actually is. Like you are purposely giving this woman information knowing that she is going to likely use it on television. So it feels to me like he utilized Courtney as his mouthpiece to say the things that he did not want to say. Ain't that crazy? Allegedly. Okay. Allegedly, according to Drew. And based on what we've seen, Courtney has been able to say a lot that Ralph hasn't really said, okay, verbally at least. So that really, when you think about it, that's a special type of low down and dirty right there. When asked about dry snitching on Ralph about beating the IRS, the IRS, which, as you guys know, I was like, whoa, I don't know if she realized she did that. She was basically like, I was trying to defend myself. You know what I'm saying? And, this is what happened. I needed to. Basically, I got the feeling that she was just trying to use that as an example of like how crafty Ralph is with beating the system and coming out looking a certain type of way. That's what I got from it. It's definitely a good interview if you are interested in the continuing saga of Drew and Ralph. Whether or not we will see more of that, I have no clue because we don't even know who is coming back for real, for real, for real, for real, for real. But she does go on to say that it was difficult to film that singing scene in front of him. She says that when she watched it back, she was almost in tears, and she didn't actually want to sing it. But Andy was the person that told her to take that moment. Okay. She says that she hopes next season that she's able to potentially show more of her family dynamic, and I'm like, yes, please show it to us. Okay. But what family dynamic? Is that with her kids or is that with her mom, her sister? I would be more interested in the sister more than anything else, to be quite honest with you. But then she says and highlights some of the positive projects her children are currently working on. All right. Now, let's get into poor Tamar. Like, I feel bad for her because I feel like she really sometimes cannot seem to catch a break. All right. So, if you don't know, Tamar was the victim of a robbery. Oh, yes. She posted online about this, and then the neighborhood talk, of course, picked it up. She says basically this: I got robbed at home. I'm not safe anywhere. I don't know why I keep getting violated. I had a lot in my car because I don't live anywhere, because I'm not safe anywhere or with anyone. And it's like the heartbroken emoji. And, you know, this appears to maybe be inside of like maybe an apartment complex, garage, or a condo garage. I really don't know. Is she living in the Atlanta area now to do the Dish Nation? Somebody, Norman, Norman, is you? Does she? Is that what she's residing now? You know, um, I really don't know. What I can say though is, number one, let me say this: y'all don't keep anything of value in your car. That's number one. Somebody mentioned that in the comments here. Number two, the other question that I gotta ask is, she says, I had a lot in my car. That's number one. Um, and granted, it's your car. You should be able to keep what you want in your car, right? I mean, that's we have that right, we have that freedom, especially in the places that we dwell. You know what I'm saying? And it's your car. You should have that right. But just knowing the day and age and the time that we live in right now, it's like, yo, these people are like, they are savage and they will take whatever they can get their hands on. And you just gotta know now, like, keep your possessions outside, like, not in your car. Cause I be hearing stories. If this was in Atlanta, I'd be hearing stories about so much of that happening in Atlanta that to me, I'm not even shocked when I hear about it anymore. But the other thing that she said that I thought was actually interesting was that she says, I don't live anywhere because I'm not safe anywhere or with anyone. And when she says that I'm not safe with anyone, in my mind, I'm like, but don't you got a fiance? Like, I mean, that's a weird thing to say, for me, when I'm thinking about, you got you got a whole family of sisters. I'm not, I would assume that you guys are, back on good terms and whatnot. I know you got good friends. I mean, because I know some of them are posting about your concert. You know what I'm saying? And really getting people, excited about it. And I know you got. I'm in my mind. I'm like, you got a fiance, right? So, like, why do you feel like there's a deeper issue here if you feel like you don't have anyone, right? So I just want to send out some prayers for Tamar, because obviously, something like this is pretty devastating. And I can imagine, if this has happened before or whatever like that, then it's probably got to take its toll on her. But, at the end of the day, I feel like, you got people. And if you feel like you don't, like, that's a problem that we need to really like dive deep into. So I hope she's able to, like, get into a better space with that whole situation, because I know that that can be a troublesome thing, right? So we're gonna send up some prayers for Tamar, as well as for Drew, and as well as for Shannon Beador. All right. Now I know a lot of you guys, we typically don't talk about the Real Housewives of Orange County on this channel, and it's a show that I watch here and there. I've watched it probably from the very beginning, but here and there right now, because just for time's sake, right? But when I do watch it, I don't really recap it a lot, because I am more or less like, sometimes you just don't want to work, right? To me, that's like one of those shows that I kind of just watch and I'm just going to enjoy it and maybe talk about it and kiki about it with, some of the homies or whatnot. But if you are familiar with Shannon Beador, she's been on the Real Housewives of Orange County since season 9. And at that point, she became a favorite of mine because she is a little bit unhinged and, quirky, and she becomes she becomes unraveled very easily, and she reacts to a lot of things, right? But over the course of the past few years, I think one of the things that has become obvious to me is that Shannon has an interesting relationship with alcohol. And so much so that a lot of times on the show, the women talk about how she'll call them, and lament her problems to them, after possibly having some drinks allegedly, and then maybe not remembering some of the things that she's disclosed to them, and then also thinking that those conversations wouldn't come up again on camera, but they always do, right? So with this interesting relationship with alcohol, it is not really surprising to me that this morning, or it was reported at about what 7:41 a.m. I think I was still in the dentist at that point. That she was arrested for DUI hit and run. She struck a house in Newport Beach. So let's get into the tea, and then we're going to talk about what's happening now, right? So apparently, this happened on what, I guess, Saturday night in Newport Beach, and she basically drove her car in onto a residential property and clipped the house. Then she turned back onto the road and kept driving before parking the vehicle in the middle of the street and getting out with her dog. So the dog was in the car. So the sources are saying she got out of the car. So she clipped the house, kept driving, okay, parked the car, then allegedly tried to act like she was taking the dog for a walk when the police arrived after receiving a 911 call. Now, the report here says she wasn't fooling anyone and she appeared wasted and was taken into custody. Now, they seized her car as part of the investigation into damage to the home. All right. And she was booked for 2 misdemeanors, hit and run and DUI alcohol. She was cited and released without bond, according to TMZ. And sources with direct knowledge tell TMZ she was not filming. So, because their season has technically ended, they've already filmed their reunion. So it'll be interesting to see how things play out. I'm sure this will become a storyline for next season. But for Shannon, she's going through quite a lot. In January, she had a breakup with her boyfriend of 3.5 years. So that's been a major source of contention on the show, because I'm assuming we're kind of seeing the lead up to that. And she was blindsided by that breakup. All right. So continuing on, the story was updated on TMZ, and it says, I spent a lot of her attorney says he spent a lot of time with Shannon on yesterday, which was Sunday, and she is extremely apologetic and remorseful. And it says, we will be awaiting the official information on this case as it becomes available, and Shannon is prepared to accept full responsibility for her actions. Now, if you guys are familiar with Jeff Lewis, who also used to have a show on Bravo as well, he has a popular radio, is it radio show, podcast? I'm not really sure what you would call it in this particular point, but he and Shannon are really good friends. And so he revealed that she is seeking treatment after getting arrested for the DUI. I haven't seen a mugshot or anything like that yet. I'm sure that will surface at some point. So Jeff says, I'm happy to say that she's going to be entering counseling this week. So I'm happy about that. This is what he said on his Sirius XM show, Jeff Lewis Live. He says, I don't think she's an alcoholic. I think it's her close friend. I think she's going through a lot of personal struggles right now. And I think that she has probably been leaning on alcohol, but I don't believe she's an alcoholic. All right. Apparently she got injured, but nobody else was hurt. And she's recovering from her injury. All right. So the interesting thing about this is that Shannon has been very vocal on this season about another character, Gina's. I think, did Gina have a DUI? But there was a situation where she ended up helping Gina after some type of either arrest or some type of, I can't remember what it was. I think it was a DUI. And it got brought up again this season, and with Shannon making an indication that, if the case had went any further without her intervening to help Gina with, I guess, maybe her attorneys, that, that the case could have ended up with the kids going to CPS or whatever. I don't know, something like that, right? So it'll be interesting to see, because that was brought up on the show, how this is going to play out next season, because I'm sure Gina is going to feel, I don't know how Gina will feel. It'll be interesting to see what statements she makes after this news comes out. So if you guys are interested in Real Housewives of Orange County, I can definitely tell you that it is really about to get juicy, especially if filming for the next season is to be coming up anytime soon, which if it were me, I would definitely be filming it ASAP. It'll be interesting to see if she returns. Do I think that she should? I don't know if reality TV is really healthy for Shannon, though I do feel like she is a great addition to the franchise. I just don't know if it is necessarily the place for her because, we've heard a lot over these past couple of weeks about, reality TV stars, allegedly being, pumped full with alcohol or whatever while they're filming and whatnot. And I always say this, there have been instances where I've even heard allegedly there being situations where they're restricting access to water to ensure that the characters remain loose and the alcohol continues to flow. And to that, I simply still say, as I've said before, it's a choice whether or not you choose to drink on camera or not. It's a choice whether you choose to drink at all on these types of shows. We've definitely seen a lot of, reality television stars like who else? Who doesn't drink? Candy, I think, doesn't drink. There was definitely a point where Luann had been arrested in a similar situation, not really driving, but just had been arrested, and drinking and alcohol was at the root of her issues. And, she had to become sober, or at least allegedly sober. So I don't know what to make of this whole situation. I know that it's sad. We're going to have to continue to lift Shannon up in our prayers. Thank God nobody was hurt in this whole situation. And we'll see what happens next. Although I do think that Shannon will probably use the opportunity to continue to further her time on reality television and perhaps chronicle all of this, because I think that it's going to be, I just think that, that income, I feel like a lot of these reality TV stars rely on that income as many of us rely on our jobs for our income. And so hopefully this is something where she can take non-lemons, specifically if you are familiar with Real Housewives of Orange County, and make lemonade. All right, so that's the tea for today. That's all I got for y'all. That's all I can really do right now. My mouth is killing me, and I will catch you all in the next video.
So, Desiree Davenport, what are you hoping to accomplish with this show?
Honestly, I've lost everything in the most horrible way possible. And listen, I want it all back. I'm willing to build it piece by piece, and I mean brick by brick.
Oh, honey, she is done. I bet you a Birkin she doesn't last all season with us. Just watch.
I'm Misha Hill, and I'd like to consider myself the matriarch of this dynamic group of ladies. I mean, someone has to keep them under control.
I'm Davita Delaney.
I think I could teach these ladies a thing or two about how to get and keep a good man.
They said she was a gold digger. She didn't hear that from me. I'm just really looking forward to being surrounded by other empowering bosses.
Yes, I know exactly what she's doing. And if she keep playing in my face, I'm gonna have to let her off her dirty little secrets just like she did to me. And I'm not playing.
Let's get this straight. If I brought you into this circle, I just as easily can take you out. She ain't running nothing over here, okay? She needs to be worried about running that household and worried about why that husband of hers is never at home.
Oh, hell.
Ooh, child, this is about to be a mess.
Oh my God, I hate mess. What in the world did I get myself into?